Hey everyone, me and Zori wanted to tell you a little bit more about our inspiration behind authentic attachment. I think one of the best quotes to sum it up is by Gabor Mate when he says that as children, we have two primal needs. They are authenticity and attachment. And our authenticity is basically our primal instincts. And our attachment is our connectedness with our caregivers. And he says that as children, we will always choose attachment over our own authenticity because we need to do that out of survival, because we need our caregivers to survive. And what I really feel like is the heart of this program is learning how to now come into our authenticity as adults and learn how to honor that by deepening our connection with ourselves while learning to stay in connection with others. And when I first tried the practice of circling with Zori, I had this experience where I got to witness my relational patterns in real time with a man in the group that really triggered my trauma responses of trying every which way to make sure he felt comfortable or seen or heard so that I could receive any nugget of validation, approval, softness. And I witnessed myself doing that for 2.5 hours and noticed in my body how exhausted I was by the end of it. And it gave me such clarity in 2.5 hours. And I was kind of blown away because this kind of insight is something that I'm used to receiving after a tumultuous 6-month relationship, maybe 6 years sometimes. And it was so cool to get to do that in a container where I don't actually have personal relationships with everyone beforehand. So it kind of allows me to work with my relational patterns in real time in a setting that may not be as highly charged as within my personal relationships. And yeah, Zora, I'd love to hear more from you about your inspirations behind it as well.
Thank you so much, Tammy. Similarly to you, ever since I first encountered circling and authentic relating about 5.5 years ago, I have felt this continuous journey of coming back home to myself in the context of relating with other people. Because just like you quoted Gabor, there's been just this tendency for myself as soon as there is a person around me, especially a loved one, for me to go all about like, oh, it's them and I'm there with them, and to completely disconnect from my own needs and desires and my embodied experience. And so I found it so healing to have that place to return to in which I can really reconnect back with myself without losing contact, without losing touch with the other, where I can just really practice being with both at the same time. Knowing about your background and having seen the value that it brings to the space, to have somebody that actually understands somatic work and attachment style work and is able to bring that perspective into the space can be really valuable, because oftentimes people come into authentic relating, they don't have that context. They don't have that experience of like, what am I actually navigating here? And so for me, what felt really exciting about creating this container together is that in addition to the bravery and the courage that it requires for us to go into some deep waters with other people and be vulnerable, we also have that component of building safety together by understanding each other, understanding our attachment styles, understanding the way that our bodies respond to moments when we feel abandoned or rejected, and really weaving those two strands of work together in order to create something even more beautiful.
Yeah, what comes to mind is also the idea that relational wounds are healed in relationship. And why I'm so drawn to this group format is because sometimes our original wounds aren't coming up in our one-on-one sessions with our practitioners, right? Our therapist or whatever, because these wounds are triggered in relationship in real time when somebody says something and you're brought back in time to when you were 5 years old. And for us to actually all be committed to being with that together, to me, is the most reparative thing that I've experienced in my personal life, like away from my therapeutic setting, just with my best friend practicing these skills of circling, authentic relating, nonviolent communication, and definitely, bringing in the awareness of knowing, oh, I notice my anxious avoidant behaviors right now, or, oh, I notice, like, being able to witness that and then have that awareness is when we start to be able to change our patterns and have choice.
And for me, it's also a journey into the body when it comes to communicating, when it comes to relating with another, allowing ourselves to actually connect with our embodied experience in that and to see what that reveals about what's really happening for us. Because sometimes we have an idea of, oh, I'm like this or I'm like that, but actually our bodies are experiencing something completely different than how we think of ourselves. And what is it like to actually create that circumstance for the body itself also to heal in relational context rather than just to understand something in our heads. I'm really excited to take this journey with you and with those who feel called to join us over 12 weeks so that we can explore both the background of working with our trauma and our attachment wounds, as well as the container of circling and authentic relating, where we get to in real time witness those wounds and allow ourselves to move through healing them in a very organic way with each other in a safe container.
So if this feels resonant in your body and some part of you lights up as we're talking about this, I encourage you to hit the apply button, which will bring you to a brief type form, and we'll reach out to you to get on a call and bring you in.
We look forward to seeing you there.